Alright, welcome back to my channel. So, I'm going to do two videos I've been meaning to do. I've just been pushing them back, and I'm gonna do them. So I'm gonna do them back to back. But this one, I'm going to talk about Shadow and Bone, the TV show, because I watched it. I watched it at the end of last year, actually. So it's been months. I think it was the end of last year or beginning of this year. Either way, it's been a few months. I think it was last year though. But anyways, I finally watched it. I finally read the books. Well, I'm still reading the Grishaverse. I'm almost done. I'm on the last book, which is Will Wolves, and I watched that before I started King of Scars. After I finished Crooked Kingdom, I watched that because I knew I needed to at least read the Crows books, and I fell in love with the Crows, and I just couldn't wait to watch the show anymore. And I can tell you this much: the Crows are my favorite part. I have a teeny tiny obsession with the Crows, but that is besides the point. Some people might say it's a little bit more than teeny tiny, but we don't listen to that negativity now, do we? But I love the Grishaverse. I'm loving King of Scars so far. King of Scars was actually a bit boring for the first half, but I got really into it and invested, and I loved it. I ended up rating it 5 stars. So far, I've rated the entire Grishaverse 5 stars. I'm actually considering downing the first 2 Shadow and Bone books to 4 stars. They were originally going to be 4 stars, but the endings were so good, I made them 5 stars. But overall, I think they're more 4 stars, so I'm considering doing that. And I might do that with King of Scars. Haven't decided yet. Six Crows and Crooked Kingdom, nothing in the world can make me lower them. They are 5 stars. They should be 10 stars. They are. Six Crows is a new favorite series. Not the entire Shadow Grishaverse, but Six Crows. Don't get me wrong. I love the rest of the Grishaverse as well. I keep wanting to say Shadow and Bone. I love the rest of the Grishaverse as well. But Six Crows is the best part, no doubt, in my mind. And I feel like a lot of people think that. Not everyone, obviously. Everyone has their own opinions, but I just feel like Six of Crows is more popular. Before Shadow and Bone was announced that they were making a TV show or whatever, I hadn't actually heard of Shadow and Bone. But I had heard of Six of Crows, and before the TV show was announced, I didn't even know that they were part of the same series. After I started hearing of Shadow and Bone, I didn't know that they were part of the same series at first. I never had a desire to read Six Crows. When people talk about Six Crows, all they talk about is the heist. And I was like, okay, it's just a book about a heist. There's nothing great about that. At least not in my opinion. And I definitely didn't know it was fantasy because no one told me about the magic aspects about it. I'm so glad that I finally read it because I fell in love with it. But anyways, this is about the TV show, not the books. But the TV show was so good. I'm so happy that they added the Crows and they gave them a storyline, so we get to see a little bit more about what they were doing before these heists and everything. And I love that because in the books we got to see Nina and Matthias' flashbacks, because at the beginning of the book we know that they have a past and that Matthias kind of hates her because she betrayed him or something. We don't know all the details, but we start to see flashbacks for each of them. They all get their own flashbacks to know a little bit more about their past. And Nina and Matthias, we get to see their flashbacks during the present while it was happening in Shadow and Bone, which I liked. It was kind of like the Shadow and Bone, it was like the same thing. It was like the present time for Shadow and Bone, but before we get to meet the Crows in the series, we got to see what the Crows were doing during Shadow and Bone's time. Well, they did change a few things because in the books the Crows didn't know Alina or anything, so they did do some changes. But I'm okay with those changes because I just love the Crows so much. But there's a lot. I feel like the major changes they made, I was okay with. Okay, my laptop's gonna die. I'm gonna have to plug it in. I love what they did with Mel's character. I was always a Mel stan. Don't get me wrong. I was always a Mel stan. And I always shipped him with Alina. Actually, that's not true because in the first book I actually did ship Alina and the Darkling, and I did not like Mel. But that was because it was Alina's point of view, and we only saw the good in the Darkling because that's the only thing the Darkling wanted Alina to see, and we only saw Um, we only saw the things she was thinking about Mel, about how he seemed to have forgotten about her, this and that. But in the show, it's not just in Alina's point of view, which I loved. I also loved that. And I feel like I have to throw this in. I feel like they did great with David's character. He was always my favorite character on Shadow and Bone, the original trilogy. I love David. He was amazing and amazing and amazing and amazing, and I'm obsessed with him. And I love what they did with the character because he was so spot on. I feel like a lot of those characters actually were, especially with the casting. I feel like the casting was really good. Especially with the crows. I feel like the only crow that I'd say the casting could have been better would be Nina. Maybe Matthias, because Matthias was supposed to have this like long blonde hair. And his hair was like really short. It was still blonde, but I feel like his body type and everything else was good with Matthias. When it comes to Nina, though, she's supposed to be a bit more heavy set, and they kind of casted a skinnier actress. But the other three crows, because in Shadow and Bone, the only people that are actually crows are Kaz, obviously, because he's the leader, Nedge, and Jesper. Because Nina and Matthias had their own storyline separate from everyone else, because it was showing their past. And so they hadn't actually met the crows yet, because in Six of Crows, for those of you that have not read the books, Kaz, Nedge, and Jesper were already a team at some point. They were already a team. And then they already met Nina and Wylan, but they hadn't known them too long, and they weren't actually a part of their team yet. They just helped them every so often when they needed a favor or something. Matthias was the only one that they hadn't met because he was in prison for a crime he did not commit. But it was the only way for Nina to save his life. That's a whole other story. But yeah, and I feel like but with the three main crows, they were the best casting choices ever, especially in Edge. Like, she came right out of the Shadow book, okay? She was perfect. They all were perfect. But anyways, back to what I was saying before I got sidetracked in casting. I by the end of Shadow and Bone, I loved Mel, hated Darkly, and shipped Melina. And I love that this show is not just strictly in an I almost said an Edge. What? My mind's always on an Edge. She's awesome. But anyways, on Alina's point of view, because and I also feel like they did better with Alina's character, you know? I mean, she wasn't as Alina always seemed a little bit whiny. I mean, I wouldn't say I disliked her, but I wouldn't say I loved her either. But I feel like they proved all the characters, seriously. But anyways, I love that we got to see Mel, because in Shadow and Bone, Mel was basically only in the beginning and end, because that was the only time he was with Alina. And you saw him at the beginning, when you saw the beginning of their relationship and the beginning of the story, and then you saw him again at the end when they reunite and they have the fights with the Darkling and all, and escape and all that. But I love that you see Mel throughout. You see how much he cares about Lena, and you see him realizing now that she's gone that, hey, you know what? My best friend is somewhat. I have feelings for my best friend, and you finally you see him figure that out, and it's beautiful, and I love it. But yeah, so characters. Okay, so in Shadow and Bone trilogy, I'd say David, obviously, is my all-time favorite Shadow and Bone character. Now, I'm not talking about the rest of the Grishaverse books because the crows are superior. But David is up there with the crows. Like, he's the only character that meets the crow level, in my opinion. So David's awesome. And I love what they did with him and his character. And we didn't get to see him that much, sadly. And there was only a couple scenes with him and Jinya, I shipped them. I'll get to ships in a little bit. But I love them. I love him. and he's such a sweetheart, and I am obsessed. And I can't wait to see more of him in season 2. Um, Alina, I already said my thoughts on both Lena and Mel. The Darkling, never a big fan of him, because not true. Like I said before, I did kind of like him at the beginning, but that's before I knew how evil he truly was. I mean, I knew he was supposed to be a villain, but I thought he was like would be like have a redemption arc. So I don't know what I thought. I just knew that Alina and the Darkling were kind of cute together at the beginning, but then he turned out to be a huge jerk, and I realized Alina and Mel were right for each other. So, anyways, I'm just trying to think of the first book, because the characters introduced in the second book we will not be introduced to until season 2. But then there's Jinya, who I also love. She's a great character. I feel bad for her, especially when you learn more about her past in book 2. Yeah, book 2 is when you... No. Book 3 is when you learn about her past. Okay. I mean, you know a little bit about her past in books 1 and 2, but it's book 3 where you really get that full force of her past. So we won't find... So people who just watch the show won't find out for a little bit, even if they even end up saying the past. I swear, if that one scene with her and the king and queen and the David's little speech to her afterwards is not in season 2 or 3 of Shadow and Bone, I will riot. That scene is everything. Anyways, moving on. And then the Crow's characters, I love, Inej is obviously my favorite character, Jesper second, then Wylan. I was just telling Alyssa what my list was for this. Okay, Inej, Jesper, Wylan, Nina, and then Kaz and Matthias are kind of tied. I love all 6 of them, obviously. They're all amazing, but that's just my list. I love some of them a little bit more than others. But actually, Cass might be a little bit higher than Matthias, just a little bit. But yeah, but all the characters are amazing. Inej is just epic. Jesper is hilarious. Wylan is sweet. Nina is fierce. Kaz is... My mind went blank. Like, what's the right word? I can't think of the right word. But anyways, you get my point. And Matthias is tough. Kaz is like the leader, like the smart one, and he's also crippled, and he has a crow cane. I don't know why I had to throw that in there. And then Inej with her mini knives, that was awesome to see. And then Jesper with his sharpshooting skills. And Wylan, I love that little joke they made in season 1 though, where Jesper and Kaz were talking, and Inej wasn't in the scene, and Jesper made a comment about an explosive person, and Kaz said, "You didn't ask for an explosive expert on every job," and he's like, "Well, we need one," or something. I don't remember what he said, but that was an innuendo to Wylan's introduction, and I'm so happy. I know, the only 4 people I know for sure they've casted for season 2 are Wylan, Nikolai, Tamar, and Tolya. Okay, I can't speak. Nikolai, Tolya, and Tamar are in season 2 or book 2 of Shadow and Bone. And Wylan is in both books of Six of Crows, but they finally meet him in season 2. I'm getting a scene, and I can't wait to see that, because Wylan and Jesper are my favorite ship of all time. Well, of all time in the Grishaverse. Moving on. But yeah. So, and then let me see. And then Nikolai is the king. Well, future king. He becomes king. He's prince. And then Tamar and Tolya are his guards. And they're twins. Tamar is also a lesbian. I like her relationship with Nadia. But yeah. Now ships. My favorite ship, as I mentioned, is Jesper and Wylan. I know they get overshadowed by Kinesh sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I love, 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 love Kinesh. They are my second favorite. Like, very, like, there's only a smidgen in between them. Like, seriously, Kinesh is, like, right after them. I love Kinesh. But Wesper is just so cute, and I love them, and they deserve more recognition, because Wesper is amazing. And then Kinesh is also amazing, obviously, and then after them, third would be Nina and Matthias, because they are also amazing. And then Alina and Mel, because they're also, like I said, amazing. I love a good friends to lovers. Um, and then Tamara and Nadia, I feel like they could have been higher, but we didn't get as much of them. I mean, probably because, Shadow and Bone is first person and only in Leah's point of view, so we didn't really get as much of them. We're starting to get a little bit more of them in King of Scars, thankfully. Actually, I'm going to change that because David and Jenya are before Tamara and Nadia. Duh. I haven't decided. I don't know if they're above Mel and Alina or below. Actually, they might be above Nina and Matthias too. They're not above Kanesh, don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I might be biased though because I'm just a huge simp for David, so I might be completely biased on this. But these ships are amazing. I love them all for different reasons, and they're all just so cute and amazing. I also love the friendship between the crows. I mean, they all fight and stuff. There's this one scene that's hilarious. In Six of Crows, Cass was like, why, my mind's going blank. How would you steal a man's wallet? And then they all chime in like, just percent gun to the head, and it was like knife to the throat, just or not. I just said just for. Nina was like poison, and then Mateus looked at it all. Then he was like, "You're all insane." And then in the second book, Crooked Kingdom, something similar. And then at the end, after they all put their suggestions, they all looked to Matthias and they're like, "This is the point where you say we're insane" or something, and it was funny. But anyways, I've talked a little bit too much about the books. This is supposed to be a TV show. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of these series. But the TV show is amazing. I cannot stress. I cannot wait for season 2. Even if it's just for Wesper. Like, seriously. I will literally watch season 2 for Wesper. No joke. Because I need more Wesper content. But the Kanej we got was amazing and beautiful. We only got like 2 scenes with David and Jenya, but it was amazing. We haven't got Tamara and Nadia yet, any content yet, because Tamara still hasn't been introduced either. But David and Jenya, their scenes were so cute, and because it's no longer in Lee's point of view, we get to see a little bit of David's feelings for Jenya, because in the first book, we're supposed to think, at least I don't know if we're supposed to think it, but I feel like a lot of readers do. A lot of readers don't know if David is reciprocating the feelings Jenya has for him, because it's in Alina's point of view and Lena doesn't know, you know? But in the second book, when David shows concern for Jenya and disappointment that Jenya stayed with the Darkling, Alina's like, I guess her feelings were reciprocated after all. But yeah. Alina and Mel, because I always ship them, but I ship them even more now because they've improved both characters and their relationship, and it was amazing. We got to see more of Mel fighting to get to Elena, and we got to see Alina struggle about her feelings for Mel and her attraction towards the Darkling, and which we got to see that part anyways in the book because it's about Alina. But and then see when they're reunited and their scenes at the end, it's just so cute how they fight for each other and everything. And then Kanej, they were so good in the season. The actors were so good because they were able to show us their relationship perfectly, because like Kanej's relationship was always so much about intense feelings because without touching or anything. Like, they had very few physical interactions at all, especially at the beginning, which is very important because later on they do start having a little bit more physical interaction. But I just feel like the actors were able to portray that part of the relationship so well, because they're like fighting their feelings for each other so hard, and Cass has a thing about physical touch, why he wears his black gloves. Later on he does, have little things with an edge but I still wish we got a little bit more at the end, but that's another story for another time. But the actors were able to portray that so beautifully, and there were just so many scenes that I loved with the two of them, with the crows in total, like seriously. But like when Inej made her first kill and killed a man to save Katz's life, that was sweet. When Inej fought the person she killed's sister and got injured, she and Kaz's face, like he wanted to go up to her, but at the same time he couldn't because it's Kaz, and you can see that struggle with him. And I also love Inej and Jesper's friendship. Just throwing that out there because their relationship is amazing, and I love their. They have so many amazing, sweet scenes in this season. But what other? I had another scene in mind. Oh yeah. So another thing about Inej is that she's the Wraith. So those of you that have not read the book, she's the Wraith, and she can like disappear, and like I don't know how to explain it. Like she's so sneaky that no one. I mean, you find out that. In a flashback, when you see Inej and Kaz meet in a flashback in Six Crows, and she had a belt on, and she still was able to sneak up on Kaz, and no one has ever been able to sneak up on Kaz, let alone with a belt. But she did, and that's why he recruited her. But she has that gift, and no one knows Inej is there unless she wants you to know. But after that interaction, their first interaction, it's mentioned that she has never been able to sneak up on Kaz again. It's like he always just knew she was there, even though he couldn't hear her and he couldn't sense her. He just knew because he knew Inej and he knew she was there. And when you first meet the crows, it starts out with Jesper, then Kaz and Jesper. Jesper was gambling because it's Jesper, and Kaz and Jesper have this interaction, and then you see Kaz go to his office, and you just see him all calm, and then you see a shadow behind him, but you don't hear anything because Inej is sneaky, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Hello, Inej," and then she comes out of hiding. It's like it was the perfect way for their first on-screen scene together because it shows something important from the book about the relationship, and I just feel like this show has done beautifully at showing the two book series, and I cannot wait for season 2. Seriously, for Wesper, because I need Wesper, for more Inej, for more Melina, for more David and Jenya, and for Tamar and Nadia. I just can't wait for it. I'm so excited. But anyways, that's all for this video. I will probably do another one of these whenever season 2 comes out and just talk about season 2. Okay, I probably should mention the final fight because I wasn't even. Okay, my mind just. So, anyways, we're not done yet. But the final fight was amazing, and it was a little bit different because they added the crows, but I still loved it. I love the Alina power surge and how confident she seemed in her ability. I love how Zoya went against the Darkling, which that part was in the book as well. And then I love how Inej threw a knife at Kaz, and Jesper shot at him, and then you see Kaz like duck. Not duck, but like he grabbed Jesper and pushed him out of the way. And I felt that was so sweet because I feel like we don't always get to see Kaz and Jesper's real sweet moments because, especially in Crooked Kingdom, they're at odds a lot of times. And you don't get to see a lot of the times that they are friends and they are brothers and they care about each other. So he ended up pushing Jesper out of the way, which I found was really sweet. And Jesper got knocked out, but that's besides the point. And then Inej was fighting I like how Inej and Zoya teamed up at one point to stop him, and that was nice. I like that. Kaz saved Inej too from a Volcra. And then Mel fought the Darkling, which I love to see. But yeah, all in all, 10 out of 10. The Shadow and Bone Season 1 was amazing. There's just so many amazing scenes, and I absolutely loved it. So please like and subscribe and comment your favorite things about Shadow and Bone Season 1, what your thoughts were on it, and I'll talk to you guys later.